This individual's favorite Kennedy moment was the framing of a portrait depicting a notable personality of Mr. Wainwright's classroom. Apparently the notable figure was a British dignitary. This person's favorite novel is The Name of the Wind because he says it exemplifies what a good book should be. It should satisfy while inviting a desire for more. Reading and music are very important to him. His musical tastes range from Spanish pop to Michael Bublé. He has been one of Room 201's most colorful personalities, faithfully executing his duties as a member of the Panther recycling team. And he has regularly made insightful comments in class discussions, particularly when the subject has been a Twilight Zone story. He is Brian Crowley. This individual consistently exhibits, at least in my line of vision, a quiet demeanor, but behind the scenes he works extraordinarily well with others in completing whatever job is at hand in a manner that achieves a high-quality product. He identifies perseverance as the central trait he has developed in his Panther years, and I have to agree with his assessment. If he had a chance to tell the President of the United States one thing, well, we won't go into that. He has played the roles of Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and Rod Serling with great distinction. And if he could live in a time period other than this one, he would choose the 70s or 80s because he says music was much better then than it is today. He is Matt Perry. I will always remember this individual as the friendliest Panther. He always sought to give, or seemed to want to give, comfort to his fellow students, sometimes by petting their heads, sometimes by other means. Coincidentally, I usually happen to be standing behind him whenever he made one of his comforting gestures. Asked to identify what has made being on the Panther team a special experience, he identifies the, quote, unusually close relations everybody has with each other. Couldn't agree more, especially this year. He has been the head of our recycling team. He will ever be associated with the title Gig Maker. He is David. This lively young lady has been Room 201's box stuffer-in-chief this year. She is nothing if not a lively personality. She says that her most outrageous moments at Kennedy or on the Panther team have all involved what she calls estranged encounters with Mr. Bay. I think she means strange, and I would have to agree with that as well. She once called me boy, thinking she was
I remember that.
One of her fondest recollections of these years will be observing what she calls Mrs. Croco's wizardry in class. If she could tell the President one thing, it would be to ask if the title is worth it, because she says, I saw it's really not worth it on TV. She is Lydia Stone. This student knows how to get maximum mileage out of a humorous observation. In fact, he knows how to escort it well beyond old age. I won't give any details, but Christian knows what I'm talking about because of what he was told every single time he gave his word within the word test score from August to the present. This individual also knows how to stretch the argument between liberalism and conservatism to colorful and new dimensions. He recalls as his most outrageous Panther Kennedy moment the time when he and Kevin Trickey were at a science Olympiad competition, and in his words, we had to carry an extremely heavy box to the award ceremony but we were discussing carrying the box in either a liberal or conservative fashion. 25 out of 25 isn't a bad score, and neither is there anything bad about stone copy. This young lady cryptically declares that she would like to be remembered for what she calls her two emotions. I dare not ask the word. She demonstrates her buoyant optimism by her identification of a historical era in which she would like to live. In her words, the dinosaur era. I want a dinosaur to give me a piggyback ride, and I want to meet a caveman and use his club. If only we could cue up the first bars of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. This individual says that her most outrageous Kennedy moment was when she hid under Nicole's jacket and stood super still, hoping not to be noticed by anyone. But she has been noticed. She has been noticed for her leadership skills, her consistent positivity, and her high-quality work. She is one of the most distinguished Chief Justices in our Supreme Court simulation history. She is Kristine. This individual has been the gift that keeps on giving. During her Constitution rotation, she demonstrated her ability to lend expert assistance in the grading of the district assessments and continued that assistance through the subsequent 3 rotations. Perhaps she hasn't enjoyed this duty as much as I thought, because she identifies her most outrageous Kennedy moment as the time when she accidentally struck me. Her artistic offerings to our open house display and to the Eagle Talons publication have been profoundly memorable. She states that she wouldn't want to live in a different era because, she says, this era has everything I ever wanted. And this is fitting because she is already a great contributor to this era. She is another great Supreme Court simulator, Lena. This individual is the personification of quiet, or at least seems to be. The wildest thing I have ever seen her do is pose without her glasses for a picture that will appear in the Panther digital yearbook. I'm told it will actually be appearing. But I haven't seen everything by any means. This nearly silent young lady admits to once having thrown Victoria's shoe onto the roof. Perhaps she was a trendsetter in that endeavor because the practice of flinging footwear on the roofs appears to be popular still. She also confesses that her wildest moment occurred when she accidentally entered the boys' restroom. When she does make a comment, it gives one cause for contemplation. She says that being on the Panthers has been a special experience for her because she likes being surrounded by people that are just like, this is a quote, that are just like, but at the same time completely different from me. I'm still thinking about that one. That is Katherine. This young lady has served her team well as the long-suffering editor of the Panther print yearbook. She has patiently endured my relentless nagging, and as many of you know, my nagging can be acutely relentless. As you will see, however, she and the others who worked with her on this project did a memorable job creating one of the better books in our team history. Her sensitive, insightful, and creative poetry graced the Eagle Talons this year. She is an ideological apostle of individualism. She reveals this in many areas, not the least of which is in her, what she calls her ardent love for clovers. She believes that clovers are awesome, and everyone should acknowledge that. And not sure about that, but I am sure that the word awesome can safely be applied to the quality of all of her work. She is Annie. This young lady consistently demonstrates effervescent enthusiasm regarding whatever task may be at hand. For her 20th century decade fair preparation, she purchased a working antique radio, about which she was very excited. Reminded me of a Twilight Zone story, because of course there's a Twilight Zone story that applies to every aspect of life. This element of authenticity was a typical example of the ways in which she devotes herself to the successful execution of all of her responsibilities. She has her clandestine side, though. She recalls her most outrageous Kennedy moments taking place in the band's storage room, where the things that happened. Looks like we've tapped into something. We'll stop there. She is a fan of the 1960s and of Frank Sinatra. She is Kasia. If this young lady could ask the president one question, it would be, she claims, "What's your name?" Because, she explains, I don't think it is a question he hears very often. She shares Katherine's memory of the flight of her shoe onto the roof in 6th grade and does not believe Katherine's claim that the incident was an accident. If she could live in another time period, it would be any era before 1900 or after 1910. Because she's seen enough of that decade.
Yeah, Tori.
The Panther experience has been special to her because of, quote, all the people I've met that have lower levels of sanity than I do. She would like to be remembered for her stuffed dog, she says, but she will instead be remembered for her insightful observations, her high-quality work, and as the star of so many of Kevin's son's word master. She is victorious.